When you hear about the Middle East, it usually conjures up images of deserts and frequent violence and war.
In the summer of 2010, we traveled to Israel in order to study the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. If one only listens to the stories about the conflict in the media, one might think that no one wants peace.
The Israeli Air Force claims it has now hit more than 1,000 targets.
This is an ongoing long war against terror.
We learned that the media overrepresents the extreme vocal minority on each side. When asked the questions, do they want to see a peaceful resolution to the conflict, 73% of Palestinians and 77% of Israelis responded yes.
I feel very strongly that Israel has been committed to making peace and feels an imperative to reach an accommodation with Palestinians for Israel's own well-being as well as for the Palestinians.
It's really individual. I mean, this whole thing, I don't know if, I'm sure there are people from both sides who are willing to listen, but it takes a lot of effort to make it happen.
The jobs of the people just to realize that we both live in the same country and we need to live together in peace.
שהערבים פה במדינה ושיודעים שאנחנו אזרחי המדינה נחיה ביחד.
It has to. We need to solve it. We can't live like this forever.
Probably not everyone will be happy about how it's been solved, but if it's going to happen anytime soon, you can never know. Every side wants other things and every person has an individual thought about it. Hopefully it will, but
there's a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The conflict-driven voices of the overrepresented few has made the underrepresented majority of Jews and Palestinians strangers to each other. Many people we spoke with believe it is time to ignore the media and politicians and let people meet face to face to build a wide foundation for sustainable and cooperative peace.
When I brought a group of Palestinian women to Kibbutz Be'eri in a meeting between the two sides, the Palestinian women expressed in the kibbutz, wow, we didn't know that there were Israeli women that were pro-peace. I don't know who was more shocked by that. The Israeli women stood, what do you mean? We're not pro-peace? It's you that are not pro-peace.
There's a big gap because also the Palestinians don't know a lot of Israelis, and most of the Israelis don't get to meet Palestinians. They just talk, but they don't really know from both sides. And that's a really big problem.
So I think it's going to take a lot of effort, and it's not a matter of a nice negotiating document. It's a matter of Israelis becoming persuaded that the Palestinians have genuinely come to terms with our right to be here, and that the Palestinian leadership is telling its people that the Jews have rights here, and that the ordinary Palestinians understand why there needs to be a compromise. When Israelis start to see compelling evidence of that, we'll begin to believe that the negotiating process can make ground. I'd like to believe that that's what will happen, that gradually Palestinians will internalize our legitimacy here, that negotiators will make progress, that we'll be able to reach some kind of accommodation with the West Bank leadership.
Even listening to another story of the other side is another way of one step forward for the peace.
Corrupt Palestinian officials, as well as surrounding Arab regimes, pose obstacles to peace, and in reality, the people on both sides are so exhausted by the conflict that they want a peaceful resolution.
And the leaders just to sit down, make compromise, because you can't just want everything and give nothing. So that's what I hope will happen. But every piece of land we need to give, and every piece of compromise they need to do, it's really hard.
And that the people in Gaza will say to themselves, hey, this Hamas leadership is terrible for us. We have no future, we have no quality of life, we need to get rid of these people, and one way or another, the Hamas leadership is ousted, overthrown, gives up, is defeated.
After our first workshop, the Israeli women came away saying, I can't believe that I was able to actually sit for 2 days with Palestinian women and connect. They are no longer the Palestinians. They are now Fatina, Suad, Amal. They're people that I can relate to.
Eventually, I want to believe that Israel will be able to achieve normalized relations with all of its neighbors.
It is amazing to break down those stereotypes and to start connecting as people, and then the conflict looks very different, much less threatening, and much more possible to reach a solution.
Stubbornness from the overrepresented few on each side that the media consistently covers has portrayed peace as an unrealistic dream. However, upon talking to the underrepresented majority, we have come to the conclusion that both sides are so exhausted by the conflict that peace must and will happen.